So, like a lot of content creators, I keep a running list of different topics that I want to talk about, and on that list is Ghostbusters Afterlife. In fact, I had sort of an idea over the next few days to make a video about what I want to see from that movie, but then we got a clip from the movie, right, that goes beyond what you see in the trailer. It has a little more sort of depth than that. It maybe gives you a sense of what the feel of the movie is going to be all about. And I want to talk about that a little bit today and maybe sort of discuss, what I'm hoping this movie is going to be and maybe why we shouldn't write it off just yet. Hey, as always, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and please be sure to subscribe. And now, let's bust some ghosts. If I can get this turned on. God.
Something strange in the neighborhood. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters!
So I think before we even get into the clip that was recently released, let's talk a little bit about what we know about this movie. So if you've seen the full-length trailer that's been released, which I think is actually pretty good, you start to get the vibe of what's going on as far as the backstory goes here. So obviously Harold Ramis has passed away. If they were to make a third film that tried to feature all of the original cast, he would not be part of that. And so what they've done smartly, I think, is sort of focus on, I think, his grandchildren, or his grandchild specifically, and then moving into a house that he owned in which he stored a lot of his spores, molds, and fungus, as well as the Ecto-1. But what you start to piece together in viewing that trailer is that this is probably going to circle back around to the first movie, right? You have some scenes where, at least for a split second, you see that Zool is there. So Zool is sort of the dog creature manifestation that we see in the original film that takes over Rick Moranis' character, as well as Sigourney Weaver's character, Dana and Louis Tully. And so we see that there, and so what you start to see now is that Jason Reitman, who is the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the original movie, is wanting to kind of bring things full circle and get back to that original plot. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad idea, but you also can see that this has got sort of a Stranger Things kind of vibe to it, for better or worse. This is not going to be the Ghostbusters that we remember from the 80s, Ghostbusters 1 and 2, where it's set in New York. It's got sort of these smart-ass guys who sort of walk around, especially in the character of Bill Murray, smoking and sort of just barely getting the job done, but are legitimately interested in trying to investigate these phenomenon. This is going to be something a little bit different than that, potentially something that's a little more kid-friendly maybe, even though, of course, the original movies were designed to appeal to children. I mean, when I was a kid, I was all about Ghostbusters. I had, the Ecto-Cooler drink, I had the toys, I had the backpack with the, styrofoam squiggly thing in it. I had all that stuff, and I was all into it. And I think now, after watching that recent clip that just came out, that there may be sort of a goal on the part of studio executives to try and recreate that just a little bit. So if you haven't seen this clip, it's got Paul Rudd's character in it, and Paul Rudd plays a teacher in the film, and I think his name is Mr. Gruber, if I'm remembering that correctly, not Mick Gruber, which is, I think, an SNL character. But anyway, he's in the grocery store, he's getting his groceries, and all of a sudden he sees a bag of Stay Puft Marshmallows and little teeny replications of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from the original movie start to sort of emerge, and it's kind of like a Gremlins sort of scene where they're causing havoc, they're turning on a grill, they're cooking one another, all kinds of bizarre things are happening. Now, I think the response to this online has been kind of interesting. On the one hand, you've got people who are saying things like, oh look, it's the next Grogu, it's the next Baby Yoda, we should be excited about this. Then on the other hand, you've got people who are saying essentially that this is hot garbage and that this is sort of a bellwether that the movie is not going to be good and that we should be worried about what we're getting here. I am not ready to make that declaration quite yet. I think, it's obviously way premature to make any kind of conclusion about the movie itself. I'm going to see it and review it, just like a lot of other people, and sort of wait until that moment to sort of form my own opinions about it. But I gotta say, that scene, that clip that they released with the little marshmallow men does not hit the right note for me. So there's a lot of context missing here, and if I had to bet money, I kind of think that all these little marshmallow men are going to converge and make the giant marshmallow man that we remember potentially from the original film. And based on the trailer, I think there is some scary stuff here, and a lot of people forget, I think, that even though Ghostbusters is primarily a comedy, it works as sort of a horror action movie too, and so you want it to be scary. With that original trailer, there are some things in it that are a little bit eerie, even though they're sort of, viewed in glimpses. But if I'm being totally honest, I don't know that this is headed in the right direction, at least based on that one clip. But again, that's probably premature for me to say since I haven't seen any of the movie besides what's in the trailer. Now, if I were making this movie, it would be focused primarily on the original Ghostbusters. I think that it would be cool if they were somehow in communication with the ghost of Harold Ramis, I don't know how you would do that tastefully or respectfully. It would obviously have to be kind of minimal in how he sort of shows up in the film. It would probably be set in New York. I wouldn't lean so heavily on sort of passing the torch and sort of going to the next generation, which I think they have a lot of here. And I think some, rumblings of different scripts over the years have suggested that there was going to be sort of a group of younger people who take on the mantle of the Ghostbusters. And I don't mind that in general, but the setting is a little bit worrisome. But at the same time, this is Jason Reitman directing this. He's the son of Ivan Reitman, as I mentioned earlier, who directed the original film. I feel like he wouldn't be making this if he didn't have an idea that he really was in love with. And I feel like, well, I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like executives maybe would not have greenlit this, especially after how I think it was 2016 Ghostbusters performed, if they didn't feel good about it. So I'm trying to stay optimistic here, but I do want to know what you think about this. If you would, let me know in the comments below how you feel about either the trailer, either about the little mini Marshmallow Men clip that you've seen, and what you're hoping that this movie does and what it accomplishes well. So anyway, as always, thanks for watching and stay tuned for my next video.